Hello. So the scenery is a little different. It's obviously not morning, and it's now Wednesday. I changed the dates from Wednesdays to Sundays. I just feel like it's a little bit easier, not just in terms of availability for people at my church, but also I guess just people in general. I think people tend to be a little bit more free on Sundays, so this kind of just works. I was also kind of just getting a little bit bored of running as much as I was here, so I kind of want to try running in my neighborhood a little bit more, just with my long runs. So today will be more of a shorter run, and I think it'd be more ideal for people, if they're new to running. We wouldn't have to be here long. Yeah, that's just trying it out. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. This is nice. So how I've been since last Wednesday was I've been pretty good. I found myself being a little like, I don't know, I guess just like a little sad, I guess in a beautiful way, I don't know, I just, I think a lot about like how life used to be, and, the beautiful thing is that, like, I'm very grateful what God has taken me from to now, however, it's just a little bit of like profound sadness, I think, like I don't want to think too deeply into it. It's definitely coming from a place of gratitude, for sure. So, I don't consider it a bad thing, or that, it's something that's being put on to me in a malice way. You know what I mean? I am pretty excited to start doing my own lessons. It was kind of rushed. I just thought about doing this, like, I don't know, it feels like I just thought of doing this today, honestly. So I haven't really had much time in preparation of a lesson, but God works in mysterious ways. I was at home. I had like an hour to like prep this, and I was like, God, sir, I don't know how we're gonna do this, but God provides a way. There's a will, there's a way. So he helped me a lot, I want to say. I actually made a lot more notes than I really thought I was going to, so I'm very grateful for that. I hope everybody has been doing well, doing well with their family and friends and their ministry, your walk with God, your, if you're going to the gym or eating well. Yeah, hope everything is going well. So I don't have a title for this. That's the only thing I couldn't think of. I don't have a title for this, but I think I'll just get into this right now. Anyways, okay. So 1 Corinthians 9 verses 24 to 27. This is the longest one, so that's why I kind of want to start with this. I actually have taken to not just writing the the scripture, but also writing down the page number, because I was having a lot of trouble last time doing that. So that's a big freaking help. So I'm very grateful that God planted that in me, that knowledge. So 1 Corinthians 9 verses 24 to 27, and it's called The Need for Self-Discipline. This is a long one, so just bear with me. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way as to get the prize. Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever. Therefore, I do not run like someone running aimlessly. I do not fight like a boxer beating the air. No, I strike a blow to my body and make it my slave, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified for the prize. I love that, I love the need for self-discipline. I didn't put too much notes on this, so I'm just gonna go off based on the top of my head. I think self-discipline is very, very, very important. A lot of the times I feel my body is telling me, it wants to chase comfort. I kind of have to like consciously keep myself in check with that, like, and I honestly really appreciate it. I really appreciate like the state of mind that I'm in right now. If I don't want to do things, I have to force myself to do it. Like, be it as it may, I don't really like running. Okay, I'll say that. It may not come off as that because I host a run club, but I don't like running. I find myself like, when I get these moments of like feeling very lazy, like, man, I don't want to run. There's no way. Not in this weather. Are you kidding me? Like, there's no way. I immediately, as soon as I get those thoughts, I have to stand up. I have to stand up because like I will stay stuck if I'm sitting down, or if I'm laying down on a couch, or if I'm on my, I don't know what happened to me just now. If I'm on my phone, I'll stay stuck, So immediately, as soon as I feel like I get that thought, I have to stand up and I have to put my shoes on and I have to just get out the door, because for some reason, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is that our minds are our biggest enemy sometimes, Sometimes we have to just tell our body that you're not, or we have to tell our mind that you're not in control like I am, if that makes sense. Running, for instance, let me tell you, I rarely ever have a good run. And that's because I stack my runs on top of my weightlifting. So my runs have never been like, I've never gone on a run and be like, wow, I feel great. It's either my knees are about to explode, or my shins are like about to break, or like, my calves just are so sore. Like, I've never once started a run and been like, wow, I'm about to smoke this. That's why I like to emphasize a lot that, like, for this run club, if anyone is interested, I'm not like here to, be number one, or like make you look bad or any, like, I run slow, okay? But the idea is that I tell my body consistently, by not stopping, that I'm in charge. That's how I want to callous my mind and my body. I've never once ran with the thought that, like, I'm going to be winning medals, like, or anything like that. My whole premise of running is just to not stop, to accomplish the distance that I set myself up to do. You know what I mean? Now I want to jump into Galatians 6, chapter 6, verse 9. And thankfully, this is not too far off from where I was. So Galatians chapter 6, verses 8 and 9. All right. Okay. Correction. Galatians 6, 7 through 9. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And then I guess I could just finish this. Verse 10, therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. Yeah, I get it. Patience is definitely a virtue, for sure, especially when it comes to, things that you care a lot about. I care a lot about this run club, However, I cannot get into my head too much about, attendance or how long it'll take for people to start showing up. Is it a thought? Absolutely. But is it something that's gonna just like be like, oh well, what's the point? Like, no, absolutely not. That's not how we should think. I I have to emphasize the importance of loving the process, because I'm gonna be here regardless. I'm gonna be here on Sundays and Wednesdays, doing my runs. So I might as well make it an outlet. This is something that I love. And if it's not something that, that, I mean, I don't know, it's just like, I like to believe that, the right people will come in time. You know what I mean? And in the meantime, like, I'm still doing something like relatively positive for myself, it's, man, I had like such a good thought in regards to this and I just lost it. I'm sorry. Like, there's a motorcycle over there that's just like throwing me off, and I'm not going to put the blame on him. I'm just saying it didn't help. Like I said, I put this all together in an hour. Okay. What am I trying to say? Let's try and pivot. Okay. In anything that we do, I say, do what it is that you love. Do what you love so that it doesn't feel like work. Now granted, this is work. Okay, I remember. I think it's a little bit funny how I picked two of the hardest things that I feel are in our society, and that is religion and running. And I didn't think about this until after I made this run club. And I feel like I mentioned this before, but I think it's just so funny how I picked the two hardest things for anyone to do and put them together and was like, yeah, this is gonna blow up. You know what I'm saying? And it it yet has to blow up. So I just thought that was funny. It's kind of funny because I thought that was gonna kind of have some correlation. It wasn't. I even just saw right now in my note, I put a little star. It has nothing to do with the message. So I apologize for that. But it does, that doesn't even transition into the next one that I'm gonna talk about, which is Colossians 3 verses 23 to 24. And for anyone that has a Bible, on mine it is page 806. It's page 806. Colossians 3. There we go. Colossians 3, 23 to 24. And this one might be 23 to 25. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Anyone who does wrong will be repaid for their wrongs, and there is no favoritism. I'm sorry, I thought something fell on me. Yeah, honestly, I love that. I liked building the habit of praying before, not just everyone knows pray before you eat, but I like praying before I run, praying before I lift, praying before really anything. You can really pray at any time for anything you do. I'm sure a lot of people pray before they study, but the idea is like you gotta pray to get an A. Pretty sure I touched up on this last time. You gotta pray to get an A and then study with all your might. And that's the same how it goes with, anything else. A life group or running or dieting or exercising. Know what I'm saying? You gotta pray. Yes, God will help you, but you gotta put in the legwork. You can't just pray and then like expect nothing, expect to do nothing. I think a lot of people, like, we get the misconception that God is just like some, you rub the lamp and then like he'll come out and grant your wish, and then people are like, well, of course God doesn't exist. Like, he's not giving me a PlayStation or an Xbox. And it's like, brother, that is not how prayer works. Okay, you have to put in the work. God has blessed us with this mind, body, and soul that he has given us, and we have to do something with it. Now, let me tell you something. This does lead into this next thing that I wanted to say. We have to be grateful for our uniqueness. We're all, we all have a special gift, and we all have something positive to give to this world, as well as something evil to give to this world. But it's important that we have a foundation of Christ, so that we continuously just radiate God. We project Christ-like qualities and values. Those are important. That's pretty much it on those notes. The last verse is 2 Timothy 1:7. Now, I have a habit, I've been in the ministry for almost 2 years now. I have a thing where, we've all, when trying to look for the Bible, you do one of these. You can't do that with 2 Timothy. I'll tell you why. It's 2 pages. Okay, I tried doing it and I was like, brother, this is driving me up the wall. Where is this? And I go on the index in the beginning, and it's literally 2 pages. So for anyone that wants to know, 2 Timothy is in page 813, and then it's done at 815. Okay, so we are at 813 because it is 2 Timothy 1:7, and this is where I'll end. 2 Timothy 1:7. For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. So do not be ashamed of the testimony about our Lord, or of me, his prisoner. I think that's referring to Paul, but I was gonna go on a little bit more, but I was seeing there was no correlation. But honestly, I think it's I admire Christians a lot now. Now that I've been in the ministry for a while, I admire Christianity a lot, because I feel like it is one of the hardest things that you could do. And Christians we're not to be mocked, because I feel like there's a big misconception that if you're a Christian, you're weak. And really, honestly, I've seen some of these Christians do remarkable things. What they set their mind to for their God, the things they've accomplished is unbelievable. We just had a pastor come in today from Cuba. They literally, I know a lot of people, they say they built it from the ground up. That's literally what these people did. They built a church from the ground up. And Cuba is not exactly, it's not exactly LA. You can't just have these tools or machinery accessible to you like that. They literally, we saw the video, they were building it from the ground up, and it is a beautiful, beautiful church. I am so happy that Victory Outreach Cuba is I'm so proud of them, and I'm so happy for them, and I admire that, and I admire it so much. I hope that, who knows, maybe my calling is to have something like that. Who knows? I don't know. Our calling is all unique. Everyone's calling is different and unique. But at the same time, we're not to be timid, right? I think it's crazy how Christianity is the most mocked religion. Everybody's against Christianity. You don't hear it with Buddhism or something like that. If you're, granted, if you're in America, maybe Islam is looked down upon a lot, I'm sure, but other religions do not get mocked as much as Christianity. And I feel for people to stay consistent with that, to just ignore all that, ignore a world that is just consistently trying to make you feel bad, you're wrong for, wanting to do this, I think that's remarkable. I think that's honestly remarkable, how we just keep those values. We don't get discouraged. Granted, we're only human, so if you get thoughts of doubt or fear, That's normal. That's very normal. But it's important that we keep ourselves in a community that will strengthen our walk with God. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think in terms of my messages, I only had a few little bit. But moving forward, I'll try to put a little bit more time other than an hour into my message. I'm excited. I'm really excited to start running here, and maybe even doing some outreach, because I think at this time there's more people out. So like, I don't know if anyone could see, but there's like soccer like being played, so maybe I'll hop in. I'm not doing that. I don't know why I said that. Like I said, it's been a long day. I barely had any prep to do this. What was I thinking? Hopping? I don't even know how to play soccer. But what I was trying to say is maybe I'll do some outreach, because I got flyers. I want to not be ashamed of my Christianity, of my religion. I want to be projecting Christianity and God. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to just hop into the run. Please, Sundays, 5:30 to 6 is the ideal time that I want to do the Bible lessons, and then from 6 to 7 do the run. And that's not like, I don't mean that in the sense that like we start at 6, and if you're not here at 6, don't bother coming. I mean, I'm not saying that, maybe God's saying that, but I won't. I'll welcome you. Please come in. But 6 to 7 is the window of running, and then 7 to 8 I'll do some fellowship. I don't know where. It's pretty much just up to me today, since it's just me. So wherever I want to eat is where I'll go. But ideally, when more people start coming, and it will happen, it'll be more intimate. We'll have more. It won't just be me talking. And honestly, I don't even know how like it'll go when I start like having more people here, because I don't know if I'll be recording. So I think, hey, hello somebody, I think I just had a revelation. I think God isn't allowing people into my run club because he sees how much I love doing these videos. I'm slowly losing my mind. I think I've been doing this for too long alone. But no, genuinely, I just thought about that right now. I don't know if like, because I don't know how I would go about like doing the videos. Like, I'm not sure. I wouldn't want to really like record anyone, or the sermon, we have a media overseer at my ministry. Maybe he could bring the whole setup, sound and cameras and lighting here, and then we could live stream these messages. Shout out to Howard. But yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy these lessons for now, especially since that I'm the one putting more like, a personal touch to more like the messages that I'm fond of, not just like what my Bible has laid out. I'll be doing more of like what is piquing my interest, or I guess what is my calling for that week. Yeah, I hope everyone has a good day. I hope everyone is, keeping true to their walk with God, and keeping themselves in God-like environments. I hope slowly but surely you're turning your mind to God and your soul above all else. You're turning your heart to God. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Till next time, till next Sunday. Bye.